Alright, welcome today. What we got going on is a floor transition from the bathroom to the hallway. We did a remodel job in an older house and we had to level up the floor, put all new shower, stool, moved everything around. Turned out really nice. We got a transition from 3/4 inch down to the hallway floor. So we're going to make a transition from, they'll make it nice and smooth. It's going in the bathroom, so we want it nice, no sharp edges. So if you're walking barefooted, you're not stubbing your feet or anything. So what I ended up getting, we got a 24-inch door. Well, it's a smaller door, but it seems to be working really good in that place. But the door jam's 5 inches. So we're gonna cut this down to 5 inches. Then we're gonna cut it down to, I'm gonna add 1.5 inches. And then we'll cut her down in when we get in place, just to make sure I got some play there for what we need to do. So I'm going to cut her down to my 5 inches, and then I'm going to, well, actually I'm going to cut her down to my 25.5, because I'm going to add 1.5 inches on each, or 3/4 on each side for the door jamb itself, and I'm bleeding. All right, we go over to the chop saw, cut her down. Door's 24, so I'm going to do, well, I'm just going to go 26. We're going to cut her down anyway, so I'm just going to do 26. Then we'll go over to the table saw and rip her down to 5 inches. A lot of times I'll make a little notch in here. Something like that there to go over the flooring that's there. But because the flooring's up 3/4 to 7/8 of an inch, we're not going to do that on this one. I'm just going to put a little round over on this side, and we're going to butt it right up to what's there already. And then we'll run some clear silicone between that. It's got a linoleum floor, so we're just going to put a clear silicone down through that seam. The vinyl floor is overlapped right now where this is going to be. So I'm beating the crap out of myself today. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put it on a table saw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half the board, which 5 inches would be 2.5. Actually, I think I'm going to go 2 inches from this side. Do a 3-inch. I think I can do that with the table saw. So we're going to do a 3-inch, and all I'm going to do, and I'm going to come up about 3/8 of an inch. Yeah, you can see that all right. I'm not going to do this, but normally I would either router it out or I'd run it on the table saw and cut that out. But right now, this one, I'm just going to put a nice bevel on it. I'm going to round over this corner, and then we'll just hit it with the sandpaper, and then round over this corner just a little bit also. So I have to find an angle on that one. That's pretty much what I want, so I'm going to get my angle finder and get the saw set up. So my saw blade's going to go away from my fence. So this will be up against the fence here, so I will just set this. Let's see here. Set that on there, got my angle. Now I'm going to set this on there, raise my blade all the way up as far as it'll go, and slide it on there. So Alright, so these are pretty pretty handy to have. They're pretty cheap to get. You could, because this doesn't have to be exact, you can just set it up to, right now right now the saw is set up at 8 degrees. So 8, 10, you can go a little bit more if you want. That looks pretty good. And then the height of it, see, we should be able to go 3 inches. So I'm gonna, doesn't really matter, but I think I can line it up. But all you have to do basically is take this measurement here, because this is going to be up against the fence. So you take the measurement from here to here, and that's what's between the fence. So I had that set up at 3/8. Yep, so it's set up at, no, you can't really see, 3/8. So I'm going to do 3/8 on my table saw. I've got this little jig. I've had it for years. It works really good. I used to have one I made out of wood, and I could just clamp it on my table. Now things are pretty accessible. We can use these. What you do, so I have them marked on the opposite sides where I wanted to go. I should have it on this side so I could line it up, but I drew it on the other side. So what you do with this here is you just push it up against there, just snug. You don't want it too tight or else it's going to be binding. And you want it kind of close. You don't want it over the teeth. Just want it close to where it's going to start. And then that'll catch it, keep it from coming back on you. And a lot of times I would, on the normal one, I would put a little bevel on this side too. The same way, just a little bit. I usually leave about 1 inch, 2 inches of flat, then go back just a little bit. You wouldn't do this sharp of an angle. You could if doing a flat transfer, but I would probably round this down a little bit more so you could roll stuff over it a little bit easier. I'd probably go 1/4 inch to, you don't want her too thin though, but so that's what she looks like. And now I'm going to round over this edge a little bit, and then I'm going to have to use a sander to round this over. So I'm going to switch the router bit over and we'll do that. I had to do some visiting, so I'm going to kind of go over this again, make sure I got everything. But now that we have, that's what it looks like. I'm going to get a router bit and we're going to router this round over on here. That's why you need to keep your shop nice and clean so you don't spend half the day looking for your tools. And when you got a few people working in the same spot, it's sometimes a little harder to keep it clean, especially if you don't have your spots for everything. Alright, so you should always unplug your tools while you're changing your blades. And I'm just going to hit it on this test piece here real quick. And something, it moved on me, so it's alright, let's try here again. So we got a nice little round over on that edge. Nice little round over on that edge. this edge, because it's on the angle, you really can't hit it with the router and get it to do what you want it to do. So I just want about the same thing. So I'm just going to hit that with the sander while I hit the rest of it with the sander. So I got some, that blade actually did a really good job on that, really good job on along here. I do have some, can't really feel them, but they're marks from the blade, and that's where I stopped there for a minute to grab that push stick. That's why it's nice, you should have that push stick ready before you start. There's something wrong with this. I'm going to have to fix that plug. That's something stuck in there or something. Alright. Trusty floor mat here will be my sanding pad. Actually, this can go back down in the location with the bits. Alright, so we'll just hit her with the sander. Since this is oak, it's pretty hard, but I'm using a 150. And we're going to do a stain on this, but I'm going to hit this flat first, and then I'm just going to roll this. It's a nice transition, so you're not even going to tell. Alright, I'm going to do the flats first, and hold the sander flat as I do it. Hold it flat, and now I'm going to just roll it as I go, and then we'll hit the edge. Now this edge still has that sharp edge on there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the sander on angle at first to get it kind of where I want it, and then I'll just roll it a little bit. If I have to do it by hand, oak is not too bad. That's nice hard wood, so I can roll it with this halfway decent. If not, I'll grab a piece of paper and we'll do it by hand. Now we got a decent round over there. It's no toes are going to be getting smacked on that. So now I'm just going to hit it with my hand. I'm just going to take this paper off right now. This oak finishes up really nice. So I just cut my fingers like that to follow and just roll it back and forth like this as I go. Going with the grain, just make sure I don't mark it up. Then I'll take my glasses off, hold it up to the light, see if I can see any imperfections, and it looks good. So he wants I just found my tools in a spot there shouldn't be. Pretty sure I put them there, so I can't blame nobody else on that one. But he has a friend Bill there. He has a bathroom we just redid, and he put a linoleum down, and it's looks like a plank with the gray finish to it. This carpet, I believe, is tan. And everything's painted white. So we decided we were going to go with a darker stain. So I got this special walnut. I think this is going to look pretty good, pretty nice. And all my gloves are inside, so I'm going to. But first, I'm going to check it in back and make sure that's what we're going to want. Since this is going to be in a bathroom, I'm going to finish it all the way around. Just it's far enough away from everything you probably don't need it, but I'm going to at least put a coat of stain on it. And I think that's going to look really nice. So we're just going to stain this. And I'm doing a small job like this. I'll just wipe it on. Make sure I get it thick enough. A lot of times I'll use a brush just to make sure I'll saturate it really well. And that way you know you got a nice even coat. But then you just take your dry part or a separate rag and wipe off all the extra stain. And I'll just dab the edges. We're going to cut the one edge of this, but just in case of a little bit of it stain, I'll take some of the stain with me. So when I cut it, I'll hit the edges also, just so it don't stand out. And I always rub with the grain, just because if you rub across and that dries, you're going to see that with your brush or whatnot. And if I saturate enough, like I just rubbed you probably can't see that, but I just rubbed that and I caught the other end of this. So it's nice that I use two different rags or towels to do this, just so you don't do that. All right. Now that's the piece. I'm going to nice and simple one. It's easy to do. There's nothing fancy. You don't need to be fancy for tote, but you do want it to look nice. So that's a simple one. I'm going to spray a clear coat on, a couple clear coats on the top, let it rest, and that's about it. And what I have, get you over here. What I have, I got a catalyzed finish in here. It's from BPB. It's a gem coat. Gemini. I really like the stuff. This stuff's been I've been using it for quite a while. I used ML Campbell for a long time. They got expensive and further to drive. I'd have to go get it. It'd take about 2 hours to get it. So I found a place up here. It used to be Glidden. Now it's PPB or something like that. I'll have to check that out. But anyways, they've been doing me awesome. It's a decent price. It's a nice hard finish after 30 days. It's a very, very good product. And I use it all on my cabinet stuff, and after 30 days you can't stain, or it's hard to stain. Mustard won't stain it, and it's just a good product. So I use that. So I got that mixed up in here, and I dilute it with a little bit of a lacquer thinner, so it sprays a little bit nicer. So I got to get my air compressor, and I got this. This is a pretty cool unit. I got pegboard. We're going to have to change this pegboard because it's seen its days, but I'll just change that. It's pretty cheap stuff. So this has been on here for probably 4 or 5 years, something like that. So this is due for a new top. And these here, I think they're screwed down, but these are just regular drywall screws coming up, so I can set my board on there and you don't have no problem. So I'm gonna, I think my other mask is inside. Okay, I usually, and this is just a small project, so I'm not gonna worry about it because I turn this fan on, it'll suck that air out underneath this bench and runs out through filters and outside. So by the time it gets outside, it's already dry because this dries really quick. It'll be dry, and so there's the filter's just full of particles. I'll pull that off, throw that away, and dispose of that right. And it's a great workbench And I spray all my stuff here, have a dry room over here, but this is the only project I'm doing. I'm just going to let it sit here. So we're going to spray this real quick. I'll end up doing 3 coats on it and sanding it. I'll do 2 coats, sand it, then do another one, and probably since it's toe kick, I'll probably do 4 sprays. But I'm going to have to turn it around, so I'm going to spray this, flip it around, then spray the whole top. So I'm going to put this mask on, although I recommend using a respirator because this fan I turn on, it'll work. So I'm going to turn the air compressor on and the fan on, so I'll probably mute this part of it. And this stuff dries within about 15-20 minutes, depends on how thick you put on it. But that's what I like about it. It'll dry about 15 minutes. Come back and spray it or sand in between coats, whatever you prefer to do. But my first 2, it soaks it up pretty good, so I like to do 2 coats, then sand it. That way I'm not getting into the stain. If I do one and it's a little thin somewhere, I'll start sanding the stain away, and then I'll have to restain it, and then they're getting problems. So I'll do 2 good coats on here, sand it, then do 1 to 2 more after that. So here we go. As you can see, there's no dust hanging around here. I can barely even smell that I sprayed it besides what's on there. So that fan works excellent. You can brush it on, same stuff you can brush on, or you use your favorite clear coat or epoxy or whatever you want to use on it. But Glidden has brand, and I think mine's pre-catalyzed. That means it's already mixed up with the hardener, and the shelf life's, we've had good luck up to 3 to 6 months if it's sitting around here, as long as it's sealed up. So it holds really good, but you can get the two-part mixture where you add your hardener to it. Comes in a little bottle like this. I got some primer up here that this is for, so we have that. So you can get different stuff, whatever you like use. I don't know what's best. I've tried so many different things, and I like the ones that are more cost efficient. I like these because they dry quick, and that's my main thing. If I have a small shop, I can't have stuff sitting in here drying for 12 hours. Because I got to be over doing the sanding and stuff like that. So I put them in the dry room after that, and I usually have a problem. But anyways, this is a nice simple way of doing just a transition. And like I said, you could make on a regular one if it's going over another floor that you have that's smaller, 3/4 going to 3/4, so I couldn't make that lip to go over top of it. And if this is too thick, if you have a planer, you can run it through a planer to plane it down, or you can, something like this, you can flip it over and do cut it on the table saw, sand it, or put the cut side down, so you don't have to worry about that part, and you have the nice flat up here that you could work with. So, and they don't have to be this big. You can do the same thing with a smaller piece. That's not going to be, most transitions about 2.5, 3 inches maybe at the most. Some of them are only like 1.5 inches. So you can cut it down. You could cut a lot of it right on the table saw, and then cut your width. So if you wanted that transition, you could cut the 3-inch, then cut it down to your width of 1.5 inches on the table saw, and then you could make your lip underneath there to lap over the other one. So if you're interested in it, if I do another one, I'll show you how to do that. I have to do a couple for my mom's house too. She's got an older house. They kept adding floors here and there, so I'm going to have to do a couple transitions in there. So I'll show you how to do those too maybe when time comes around. It's a little tacky, so I'll be right back. Alright, so we're going to put another coat on. And I didn't put my mask on that time. I could smell a little bit I was spraying, but you still don't see no mist up here. Always wear a respirator. This stuff says that it can cause cancer and all that stuff, so you definitely want to be careful if you're spraying this stuff. Cover up with that. I'm going to go in and get some stuff done in there for 15 minutes. I'm going to grab my mask, my other mask, and then we'll sand this and get her done. Alright, this is actually what you should be wearing when you're spraying this stuff. There's not much here, I'm just going to do it for... Alright, so that's done. I'm just going to take this is 150, 220, 320 works really good, or probably the best. Just got to watch the corners or the roundovers with the 150. But since I have that out and it's just a small piece, I don't want to waste a whole lot of stuff. So I'm going to take the gun, just pull the trigger a little bit to blow all the dust off. Alright, so that's the finished piece. It's still a little wet. So that's a simple, real simple transition you can build for a room to room or a doorway. We'll install that. Another thing you can do is you can countersink those a few holes in there. So when you screw it down, it's already stained before you put them in. This one, I think we're going to probably nail it down, so or maybe just some glue adhesive underneath it. So we're not going to do that right now, but you can always drill that ahead and have that ready in. But anyways, thank you for watching a nice simple video, and we'll start out here, and hopefully I got another project with that condiment tray with the napkin holder on it, or the paper towel holder. That's coming up next. So please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment down below what you thought, what you think, or what you would like to see me do next. Check out some of my other videos, what I've got going. Or hit that thumbs up, subscribe, hit that little bell for my next video. Have a good day. God bless. Stay safe. See you tomorrow.